The Adidas Supernova Rise marks a reboot to the Supernova franchise from Adidas, which has always been their everyday running model. And it's packed with some interesting new ideas and technologies, but the real question is it any good? I actually find this shoe quite exciting. It's a shoe that I've been waiting for someone to make for a few years now. A PIBA-based, lower stack, somewhat traditional to mild forefoot rocker geometry daily trainer. And I knew someone would eventually make it, but Adidas was probably the last brand that I thought of. Because when you think of Adidas running, flexibility, soft foams, those are not things you think of. And that's not a slam on Adidas. I think what they do with the Adizero program is excellent. They're maybe some of my favorite shoes of the moment. I just didn't expect Adidas to make this shoe. But with the Supernova Rise, Adidas has really nailed what I've always wanted out of a daily trainer. Starting with the specs on this shoe, we have 34 mil of foam in the heel, 24 mil of foam in the forefoot, giving you a 10 mil drop. Yes, you heard that right. In 2024, we have a daily trainer with 34-24, 24 in the forefoot. This shoe is not a max stack, heavily rockered shoe, even though there is a forefoot rocker in this shoe. This is a much more traditional daily trainer geometry, and I love it for that. The shoe comes in at 9.9 ounces or 280 grams, according to Running Warehouse and Adidas, and that's for the US men's size 9. Though weighing my two shoes, I get an average of about 268 grams, so a little bit under what they're actually saying the weight is. Now the upper on this shoe is what Adidas is calling a sandwich mesh, which is a new term that I haven't heard anyone else use, but it makes sense. Basically, that allows them to layer the mesh or reduce the layering of the mesh where you need breathability and then layer it deeper where you need some structure and support, usually on the medial side around the arch, in this area on the lateral side. So it allows them to really target the areas of breathability versus support and comfort in this shoe. The tongue, the ankle collar, the Achilles flare, they're all heavily padded, and this shoe actually has a very, very stiff Achilles and heel counter because they're going for comfort in this shoe, and they went back to a lot of traditional shoemaking, so they say, for this heel to really make it the anchor for the entire platform. And I'm going to say you get excellent heel lockdown in this heel. There's so much padding and there's so much sort of support back here. You should never have any sort of heel lift issues in this shoe. The eyelet chain is simple. The laces are, for Adidas laces, they're not bad. They're a different lace than what's on Adizero shoes. And overall, the shoe fits really well. I wouldn't call this an overly wide shoe, though they did develop a brand new last for this shoe, and it is more generous in the forefoot. It's very much a training fit in this shoe. It does not fit like an Adizero shoe, and in fact, that's an important detail about this shoe. This is not an Adizero shoe. This is something outside of the Adizero range. Now, the Adizero range for Adidas Running is their performance line. This is a daily trainer intended really for everyone, and it fits like that. It has a very comfortable, very plush training fit and training feel on foot. Moving to the midsole of this shoe, that's where the real magic of this shoe is. It's a new foam from Adidas called Dream Strike Plus. It's a PIBA foam intended for training. This is not a foam that Adidas uses anywhere else in Adidas Running or Adizero. It's not Lightstrike Pro. It's not even Lightstrike Pro Evo that we saw in the Evo 1. This is a completely new foam that they developed only for training. So you're getting a PIBA-based foam that's a little denser and the resiliency is toned down a little bit, and this is really focused around comfort and stability, but it still gives you the leg savingsness of a PIBA-based foam, which is the perfect training application. And I actually find this foam to be great. Now, there is a secondary foam or a carrier foam in this shoe, which is the yellow foam that you can see here. And if you look on the outsole, you can see that there's rods of it. They call those support rods. So what this yellow foam is a EVA foam. I don't think it's Lightstrike 2.0. I just think it's an EVA foam. And it's put in this configuration of these support rods. So they're not energy rods, but they're the same idea. So in an Adizero shoe where the energy rods are in the midsole, they're carbon fiber or they're glass fiber. They're there for propulsion. This EVA material, which are these support rods, are in this shoe for support and stability. And we've seen a soft or fancy foam like a PIVA or a TPEE foam with a carrier foam under it, but this one's a little different, and I think it also sets the ride of this one apart a little bit. Again, support rods, so you can see that these rods sit under the metatarsals of the foot, so same as the energy rods from the Adizero shoes, but this also allows PIVA foam to contact the ground or at least be right on the rubber outsole. So unlike a lot of the other fancy foam training shoes that are toned down with an EVA and you're actually running on the EVA, this shoe you're fundamentally running on PIVA from bottom of the foot to where the outsole is on the shoe, and it makes the ride completely different. And then these support rods really are in there to kind of guide the foot and help the foot be more supportive, which is something that a lot of PIVA foams actually struggle from, why you have carbon fiber plates or rods to support and stabilize the PIVA foams. This EVA support rod system is doing that work, but again, it's allowing you to basically run directly on PIVA foam, which is a wonderful feeling. Moving to the outsole of this shoe, we have full rubber coverage, and they mean it. Full rubber coverage. The only exposed piece of foam right here is right here, and then you can see the support rods here. That's a must for me for a daily trainer, to have full rubber coverage. Sometimes that rubber will dull down the feel of the ride. Not in this case. Now, this is not Continental rubber. This is just Adiwear rubber, but it's very durable so far, and it feels like it's tuned for very specific things. This black patch is for grip because it feels a little softer. This gray patch back here is for durability, and then this clearest patch feels like it's here for some torsion control, but it's still protecting the foams in the shoe. Overall, full rubber coverage in a daily trainer is a must, and this one does it exceptionally well as well. So if you take all of those technologies together, you end up with a ride in this shoe that's very comfortable, very enjoyable. This is one of the most enjoyably comfortable shoes that I've run in some time. It feels like a PIVA shoe, but it doesn't have that sort of springiness that it just wants to go everywhere all at once, like a lot of PIVA does. That's the tuning of this denser PIVA material. But you get the foot and leg savings of that material, so the recovery after running this shoe is exceptionally good. I've done back-to-back days in this shoe, and my feet and my legs have felt very fresh after each run, especially after a few in a row. It's really remarkable. Now, it is a PIVA-based foam, and I think that's part of the ride of the shoe. I could say it's plush, but it's more than that because, again, these support rods are giving the shoe some structure, some ability to not just want to go everywhere all at once. And again, the tuning of the PIVA foam is a little bit denser, so this foam is not tuned for energy return and rebound like a racing foam would be. It's tuned for comfort, support, and stability, which works really well. Now, one of the things I appreciate the most about this shoe is that it's not a max stack, heavily rockered, max cushion shoe, because that seems the only way that all other manufacturers are solving this sort of daily trainer or cushion daily trainer problem, is just put all the foam, put all the rocker. Those shoes are fine, but when every shoe is that, it just kind of turns into like everything's the same. This shoe really stands out for me because this is more in line with my preferences. 34, 24, a somewhat more traditional geometry. There is some toe rocker here. In fact, I would call it toe spring more because it does curl up under the toes in the forefoot. But the thing that really sets this shoe apart is it's extremely flexible. This PIVA foam just allows this shoe to naturally flex, and then this EVA support rod system just keeps everything in check and doesn't let the shoe twist too much out of control. The shoe that this runs like the most to me, and this is going to sound like a strange comparison, but it's the Nike Streakfly. What I like about the Nike Streakfly is that it's so flexible. That PIVA foam gives you a very flexible, soft ride, but there's a lot of natural feel to that shoe. Now, this is not a Nike Streakfly. This is not intended to be a race shoe or a shoe for fast running. but it does have the characteristics of why I would use the Nike Streak Fly as a daily trainer. Flexibility, especially in the forefoot, a somewhat more traditional geometry, and a lot of flex, which allows your foot to work. But again, the PIBA foam is saving your feet and legs, and the support rod system here is making sure that things don't go too far out of line. So it's just an amazing combination for training miles, those easy miles. This shoe really eats them up, and it really saves your legs. Now, this shoe actually did release back in December of 2023, though the rollout, depending on what country you're in, has been kind of all over the place. Here in Taiwan, I've been waiting 4 months for this shoe. And in that time, I've been watching all the reviews about this shoe, and I would say the response to this shoe has been a little meh. It's been a little mixed. No one's really hated it, but no one's really loved it. But I think there's two things that people have overlooked about this shoe. The first one is, even though it is a PIBA shoe, it's not a race shoe. This is not an Adizero shoe. This is not intended to go fast. This is a shoe intended for every runner, no matter what their level is, from the beginner runner to the elite athlete. Very much, again, in line with what the Nike Pegasus always tries to do. And I think it's designed really intelligently for that purpose. Again, this is a shoe that any runner can put on their foot and be perfectly happy with, and it's going to do a really great job. That's why you've seen a lot of the promotional material for this shoe with everyday runners, and they've been talking a lot about that. But you look at a lot of the Adidas pros and elites, and you'll see them doing their warm-ups and, coming to their workouts in this shoe and still putting miles into this shoe. So this is a shoe truly for everyone, very much like what the Nike Pegasus is, and that's one of the reasons I love it. And I think that's an important thing to note about this shoe. And secondly, while this is a PIBA foam, it's not a PIBA foam coming from the Adizero line. It's a PIBA foam made for this purpose, which no one else has really done yet. Yes, Saucony has a range of PIBA-based foams, but they're all intended for super trainers or racers. No one's really done a PIBA foam for training like this. And I applaud Adidas for really leaning in heavily to this category and putting a lot of technology into it to make it a very exceptional ride that's as exciting as the Adizero and the race shoes from the Adizero range, but for every runner in everyday applications. This shoe is something I'm going to put a lot more miles into this year, and I think I'm going to be spending quite a bit of time in this shoe. And I'm going to put it head to head with all the other sort of basic daily trainers that are coming out in the next couple months. And it's going to be interesting where this one sorts out at the end of the year with all those other basic daily trainers. But right now, I'm quite excited about this one, and I think it's a great addition to any rotation, and it's one of those shoes that just works when you put it on, does what it's supposed to do, and it does it really, really well. Thank you for making it to the end of the video. If you find this content useful, consider subscribing. You'll see more content from me pop up in your feed. If not, drop a like on this video because it helps this channel continue to grow, which I always appreciate. And with that, I'll catch you in the next one.